Well, the Rangers Football Club is a public company, is a limited company. You've got to buy shares, become a shareholder. Any member of the public can buy shares in the Rangers Football Club. You can buy them in the stock exchange through a stockbroker.
Rangers would rather have an overdraft and win something than have no overdraft and not win something.
That's how it feels to be walking in the door of the new...
It's very exciting.
Yeah. What's the main priority now?
The main priority is to win the match today and hopefully win the league.
And looking ahead?
Well, look ahead, we want to take the club forward, and I think we've got some very exciting times ahead, but it's always some challenges too.
Do you plan to meet with Alan McCoist today, Craig?
I hope so after the game today, yeah, absolutely.
And in terms of his transfer budget, you'll be discussing that with him too?
Perhaps not today, but it's obviously that's a conversation we're going to have.
Thanks.
Rangers have launched an intention of going into administration with the court.
With Rangers on the verge of administration, what are the contend with even greater adversity?
What we've done today was the most practical way forward to safeguard the long-term survival of Rangers, which is what we're all about, and prevent the possible closure of the club. We hope to continue discussions with HMRC and have practical proposals in place. I've spoken to the manager, the staff and supporters representatives this afternoon, and I've outlined the position. This is a difficult day for Rangers, but we'll emerge as a fitter and stronger club from this. Thank you very much.
He's a coward, and he must go. He shouldn't be allowed to rule.
We need to know what's happening at this club. That is the problem. Nobody seems to want to talk to the fans. The fans are the people who bring the cash into this club to make it run, and that's what needs to happen.
That house will stay open, and the fans will make sure it stays open. Because we are the people. We are the people, and that will never be taken away from us.
White must go! White must go! White must...
Hello, good afternoon. Rangers Football Club, one of the most famous in Britain, has announced it's gone into administration following an unsuccessful legal bid by Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs to appoint its own administrators.
Well, the club's chairman has revealed it could face disputed tax bills and penalties of up to £75 million. And Rangers will now have 10 points deducted by the Scottish Premier League.
Well, the news has shocked supporters of the Glasgow club. These fans gave their reaction a short time ago.
Worried sick. It's a big embarrassment to the club. I think Mr Murray and Mr Bain have got a lot to answer for. I was just saying to someone else, it's not just the history of the club. It's the history of families that come here together.
Are you pretty upset?
Gutted for every single Rangers fan. What can you do? It's happened. We need to move on now. 140 years of history. Just start again now. People up and down the country, over the world, will be watching this with a bated breath. People in there have made bad decisions. People there just now, Mr White, but predecessors as well, who done things that probably did not help this club. But we will move on. Move on, that's what we have to do.
It's a very sad day for the fans and the whole of Scottish football. Because I think it will go right through the whole of Scottish football if Rangers did good.
Very quiet when you go down the field.
Mark, you're director of the Rangers Supporters Trust, which has been working with Paul Murray and the Blue Knights Consortium. You're the only bid to go public. What are your intentions?
Well, I think the Blue Knights' attitude is that there's absolutely no need for the club to go into liquidation, that in terms of the numbers involved, the club is savable in its current form, and in terms of the deal that Paul Murray negotiated with Ticketus, then that obviously removes a huge legal threat to the club from Ticketus to recover their 27 million, also involves a reduction in what's owed to them, and it's been spread over 9 years, so that obviously, if you take them out of the CVA pot, that means there's more going back to the public purse through the revenue. We'll have a far higher, in fact 50% more money than they possibly thought they would recover for the taxpayer. So all in all, although the circumstances are not great, I think the deal which has been put to the fans groups and we've agreed to back seems to be a way to save the club without going through the humiliation and the terror of liquidation.
Don't do walking away, 'cause we're the Rangers, Glasgow Rangers. We don't do walking away. Let the Celtic know that we fear no foe. We don't do walking away. We're here to stay, we don't walk away. We're the Queen's 11 from royal blue heaven. We don't do walking away, no way. We don't do walking, they can keep on knocking. We don't do walking away.
The administrators have given the players until tomorrow to decide whether to accept pay cuts, otherwise they will make cuts to staff. How do you read that situation this morning?
Well, the administrators have got a job to do. It's a very difficult position for them. They've got to take out huge swathes of cash, around £1 million a month, in order for the club to have enough cash to survive the rest of the season. I know they've been in discussions with a number of key players over the last few days, and they haven't been able to reach any agreement. I suspect they're sending out a very clear message that if they're not able to reach that agreement, then the club is effectively facing liquidation, and that would be a disaster.
And for a man who is the second largest shareholder in the club, with 5%, to actually go out publicly and recommend that the creditors vote down the CVA, it seems to me quite unbelievable, because what we're doing in that is saying the history, the tradition, everything that's great about this club is swept aside. Why?
Club. But either way, it will be a new Rangers. For many fans, it will never be the same.
At 10 o'clock, creditors arrived for a foregone conclusion. A pointless vote on the company voluntary arrangement that had already been kicked into touch by the taxman. As a creditor, STV was inside.
Well, that's it. The meeting took just 9 minutes. It started with one of the administrators saying it was rather academic, and that's the way it turned out to be. 113 years of history is over. Rangers PLC is finished, and the club is now heading towards liquidation.
Very sad. As my friend said, it's like being at a funeral with no coffin there.
Words fail me. It's shattering.
At 1 o'clock, fans who'd put their money into the club, buying shares that are now worthless, arrived for their meeting with the administrators. It too was over in minutes.
Really disappointed. Quite emotional. Sick. I haven't slept for 3 months. And
After 140 years, the Rangers story has changed forever. Today, after 140 years of glory that made it domestically the most successful club in the world, Rangers died.
I've always said Rangers would rather have an overdraft and win something than have no overdraft and not win something.
A bit of background to it from Scottish football expert Tom Miller, who joins us now. Good afternoon, Tom.
Good afternoon, Paul. Good afternoon, Andy.
So, Tom, just briefly fill us in on what's happened this morning and what it means to the club.
Situation as it stands just now is a landmark day for Scottish football. Rangers had presented a CVA as a route out of administration, which required 75% of the creditors to accept the proposal, which was going to see them gain a return of around £19 for the indebtedness run up from Rangers in the last 12 months or thereabouts. Shouldn't forget, Rangers were solvent around a year ago. However, since the 14th of February, they've been in administration. There was a meeting of the creditors scheduled for Thursday of this week. Today, HMRC, who hold 25% of the debt themselves, came back to the administrators, Duff and Phelps, and said, your CVA proposals are not accepted. Accordingly, Darrell Green, who's the man in the hot seat, who followed the initiative of the manager, Alan McCoist, who said he wouldn't be doing any walking away. His secondary option, if the CVA was rejected, was a NUCO route, and that is basically the club is liquidated, they unhitch all the debts with the exception of £5.5 million, which retains the control to Charles Green for the assets of Rangers Football Club as we know it, but they lose the history, effectively. They will face a ban in Europe for 3 years, and they now have to go with cap in hand to their 11 SPL cohorts and look to have their transfer of their share of the SPL, and that is their SPL status, retained in the NUCO shape for the season the fixtures are due out this week for the season ahead. So 140 years of Rangers as we know it has just gone down the plug hole today, and it's Rangers 2012, or whatever they want to be termed, who will...
Rangers Football Club, one of Scotland's oldest football clubs, is heading for liquidation following the non-payment of millions of pounds of tax and VAT.
The former Rangers Football Club is in liquidation, and that's official. At the Court of Session, a judge approved the move after a day-long hearing. But he also asked for a copy of a BBC report which alleged a conflict of interest by Rangers administrators Duff and Phelps. Our business editor, Douglas Fraser, reports.
The old Rangers Football Club went into administration here at the Court of Session last February, Valentine's Day. And this financial horror story reached a sort of conclusion today, Halloween. Administration was intended to keep Rangers trading, but it didn't work out that way. The assets were sold on, so the shell of the old club will now be liquidated.
Can you believe it? Just 1 year ago, and the Premier League champions, a club called Rangers FC. It no longer even exists. Love them or hate them, Glasgow League derbies over for the...
Of a new Rangers. The new company will start debt-free, a financial clean slate. The assets will transfer over, including Ibrox and Murray Park. Players can go too, but could fight to leave. And perhaps most importantly for fans, the football continues in some form. But it's not all plain sailing. They'll also be banned from European football for 3 years. Domestic sanctions could also follow. Scottish football has yet to decide how it will deal with a NUCO. And the football continues, but there is a break in tradition. It will be a new Rangers.
The new Rangers Football Club have been voted into the Scottish Division 3. A Scottish FA meeting saw 25 of the 30 Scottish Football League clubs vote against Rangers entering the First Division, one below the Premier League. Instead, Rangers will start right out at the bottom, with fans now having to look forward to matches against the likes of Montrose and Peterhead. The majority of clubs voting against Rangers starting in Division 1 is a massive blow to the club's hope of a swift return to the top flight. One club even voted against Rangers being admitted to the Scottish Football League. The decision is another blow to Charles Green's consortium that bought and started up a new version of the historic club after mass debts of over £130 million. The new Rangers Football Club have been voted into the Scottish Division 3. A Scottish FA meeting saw 25 of the 30 Scottish Football League clubs vote against Rangers entering the First Division, one below the Premier League. Instead, Rangers will start right out at the bottom, with fans now having to look forward to matches against the likes of Montrose and Peterhead. The majority of clubs voting against Rangers starting in Division 1 is a massive blow to the club's hope of a swift return to the top flight. One club even voted against Rangers being admitted to the Scottish Football League. The decision is another blow to Charles Green's consortium that bought and started up a new version of the historic club after mass debts of over £130 million forced Rangers into liquidation.
If indeed Mr White is found not guilty of being in contravention of the Companies Act, that it doesn't exonerate him from his villainy towards Rangers Football Club. Candidly, he should have been charged with murder of an institution, destruction of people's passion, destruction of the spirit of hundreds of thousands of Rangers fans. That's what he should have been charged with. Then it had been a no-brainer.
Right, you. Hey, wait. Here. Oh, see when you hear the fucking, you feel the breath of some cunt fucking down the back of your neck, you bastard. You know what I fucking felt for the last 5 years, you fucking wanky. You scumbag. Fucking scumbag, you. Scumbag, you. You're rat. You're fucking rat, you. You're fucking rat, you. Last warning.
Oh, behave yourself.
Did you spend all day?
Right, David, start the grade. I've got a ticket next to me. Alright. You're a wee rat.
God have mercy on your soul.
You're a wee rat.
Was bombarded by the fans at that point, and then bang! As soon as the club was liquidated, as soon as the dirty work was done, Walter Smith comes in with Jim McCall, and the fans are in ferment again.
Now, it's a completely different outlook, because that is a debt that Rangers could, in my opinion, at that time could have handled.
So you wouldn't have gone into administration?
Correct. If this is true, Rangers would not.
And you wouldn't have been docked points?
Correct. Well, wouldn't have nothing but happen. You know, you wouldn't have into administration, you wouldn't have gone into liquidation.
I've said before, I bought those titles.